When Egypt chose to correct itself, the day absolute power was silently reversed. By the end of King Jet's reign, Egypt had achieved something no early civilization had ever managed before. Perfect internal control. No rebellions, no civil war, no collapse. The state functioned flawlessly. And that was the problem. Around 2970 BC, Egypt's ruling class understood something terrifying. Jet had proven that kingship no longer required belief, ritual, or even divine approval. Fear alone was enough. Administration could replace faith. Silence could replace loyalty. The old balance of Mayat was gone. Power had become mechanical. Court records from this period show a disturbing consistency. Taxes were collected with precision. Borders remained untouched. Labor was organized without resistance. Yet names began to disappear. Officials rotated too quickly to build influence. Priests continued rituals, but meanings were stripped away. Words survived. Explanations did not. Jet did not rule like a traditional pharaoh. He ruled like a system. Ivory labels emphasize permanence, punishment, and repetition. Surveillance replaced symbolism. The cobra no longer protected Egypt, it observed it. This frightened the elite more than chaos ever could. Because if this model continued, kingship itself would change forever. The pharaoh would no longer be a bridge between gods and people. He would become an instrument of removal, a living law with no limits. And laws without limits must eventually be corrected. What followed was not a coup, not an assassination, not a rebellion. It was an administrative reversal, quiet, legal, invisible. There are no records of Jet's death because death was never the point. What mattered was interruption, continuity without him. The system had to survive while the king vanished, and it did. Archaeological layers show no destruction, no burn marks, no interruption in state activity. Grain continued to move. Temples stayed open. Courts functioned. Egypt did not mourn. That silence was deliberate. Jet was not condemned publicly. He was not cursed. His monuments were not violently destroyed. His name was simply removed. Not everywhere at once. Methodically, patiently. Like an error being corrected in stone. Human sacrifice declined sharply after his disappearance. Symbolism softened. Distance was reintroduced between king and people. The serpent remained, but its presence was restrained. The system learned from its own excess. Jet had crossed a boundary no king was allowed to cross. He proved that fear could rule better than faith. And Egypt decided that knowledge was too dangerous to preserve. So it erased him. Not because he failed, but because he succeeded too completely. This was not weakness, it was control. And it set a precedent that would shape Egyptian kingship for centuries. Because from